a lot of people that I tell the protocol about,
Yeah.
we get as far as the point where you're not really supposed to eat sugar,
Yeah.
and they're out.
I know.
I got a friend who I was telling about it a few years ago, and when I got to the sugar part, he said, "I'm not going to give up my comfort food." And you know what? 3 years later, he was dead,
Oh,
but he's
man.
still eating his peanut butter sandwiches and shit.
It's so hard,
So,
Frank. Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, I mean,
but
sugar,
it's doable. When
it
your
is.
brain's on the line, it's doable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'll
Absolutely.
tell you another theory I have. I read this somewhere and I believe it. All the different parts of the protocol,
Yeah.
if I do all of them at 90%,
Yeah.
I'm okay. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be 100%.
That's it.
So, which
Yeah,
I
that's
think
it.
most people are afraid that I can't live like that forever.
Right.
But it becomes manageable. And my wife has taught me how to like vegetables.
Yeah. Well,
She's
that's what I
come
was
up
going
with
to
a lot
ask
of
you.
good recipes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, what would you say is was or still is the biggest challenge in the protocol? Is it the diet piece? Is it certain dietary things to be compliant with?
Yeah, that's it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's been enormously helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
when I do have a piece of cake, what I tell myself is, all right, well, if I'm going to live to be 90, I don't want to. I don't want to live like I'm deprived my whole life of things that I like.
Yeah.
It's called quality of life. So if
Absolutely.
I can get away with having 4 or 5 pieces of cake in the course of a year, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And so far, my brain is.
Yeah.
But I will never forget my experience up in Laredo at the border and let it get out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, you know, your wife's been a big part of all this. I'm assuming that she's with all the cooking she's been doing and all the help she's given you. I'm assuming she's doing a little bit of the protocol herself.
Very little. She's doing better. She's doing better. She's doing a lot better.
Yeah.
But like, she still won't eat a piece of salmon. She knows how to cook it and she knows how to make it taste really good, but she doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she's exercising more than she ever did before,
Yeah.
and
That's great. Yeah,
she's
I mean,
amazing. I mean, 35 years ago, we never thought she'd be able to do anything.
well, I was going to
That
ask you.
stroke she had was kick ass deal.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I mean, she's put in all this work with you over the years, especially, the early years when you first got diagnosed, but you had been her caretaker years back. Can you talk about
For
that a little
years.
bit? Yeah.
Uh, well, one of the reasons we wrote the book about taking care of the caretakers is because we both have experience both being caretakers and being taken care of.
Yeah.
And I personally am very aware of how stressful it is to be a caretaker.
Yeah.
How I struggle with anger sometimes, and self doubt, and frustration, and fear, and the whole gamut of emotions that come with that. And it's sad to say, but I've heard caretakers express some pretty ugly emotions around the process of caretaking.
Yeah.
And that was not our experience. Although there was a long period where I was a pretty angry guy. And it wasn't that long, but it was a few months anyway.
Yeah.
So we've got the experience of being taken care of and the experience of taking care of each other. And so we've got a kind of a unique perspective on it, I think. And we thought we had something worth sharing. The good news about it is we've been together 48 years, and the last 8 or 9 have been the best years of our marriage.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. It amazes. I'm amazed that she still loves me, and she does. She tells me like 15 times a week how much she loves me, and it's good to hear. You know, it's freaking good to hear.
Hey, love is good.
So
Yeah,
love
yeah,
is very good.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely, and especially with caretaking, it's uh, I'm I'm so grateful that you wrote this most recent book, The Taking Care of the Caretakers. Um, it's just another great work. You guys taking what you've had to experience for years and packaging it up in a helpful resource to help other people with something right now that every day, every week, every month, we're having more and more cases of Alzheimer's being diagnosed, dementia being diagnosed, but we have all sorts of cases of chronic diseases that are kind of taking people out at the knees. And more of us family members are having to become caretakers. And it's kind of a subject that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition or hasn't. Um, and it's not an easy responsibility. There's so many things to juggle. And I think one of the best things that I got from your book is this this priority to make sure to prioritize yourself as a caretaker and not let yourself, completely burn, not let yourself get completely burnt out because then, I mean, what can you give the person you're taking care of, So, um, this is something that needs a lot more recognition going forward because everywhere I look, I mean, look, I'm 33 and I'm a caretaker, you know, but it's something that's kind of it's growing, by the day. So these tools, these resources, this information needs to be learned, and more people need to know the message. So that's another book. We're going to have a link to the description below. And Frank, actually, can you tell us for both of those books, what's the best place to to go and get those books, would you say?
the best place, it's in very few bookstores, but it's in some, is Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah.
It's the place to get it.
All right.
And a lot of major bookstores will order it for you, most of them, chain
Yep.
bookstores.
Awesome. Awesome.
And so I
Well,
just want, when Pat had her stroke, it was 1985,
yeah.
and I was 36 years old, I guess.
Wow.
There was nothing for caretakers, nothing. Dude, nobody even told us there was such a. I don't even know if they had them back then, but nobody told us they had rehabs for people that had strokes. I mean, we were down in St. Croix. Uh, thank God I have a really good support group. I always have, and but yeah, I mean, it was rough. It was rough,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
but it worked out. She's fine now. Most people now would never guess she ever had a stroke.
yeah. It's amazing. It's a very rare thing. I've never really heard of something like that where, one spouse is a caretaker to the other spouse, and then years later, the roles reverse. It's definitely something that's, so unique, and um it it's something that lends itself really well to writing a book about because you guys got that experience. What in that experience of you taking care of Pat, is there anything that you took from that then helped you with your early path when you got diagnosed with MCI and then early on Alzheimer's?
Well, one thing I knew when I was getting sick, and when I was sick, I knew that she was not going anywhere. I knew that she would support me until the very last day. I knew I would never be alone in my struggle, and and she's still that way today.
Yeah.
And that meant the world to me. It still does. It still
Yeah.
does.